Chris Cuomo here. Welcome, my brothers and sisters. This is NewsNation, where right and left come to be reasonable. And look, what happens in Iran matters. Specifically, what America does, if anything, in Iran matters greatly. The latest, as you were hearing, is that the president believes he has a 2-week window to decide what to do next. Now, I do not believe waiting is weakness for the president, and political potshots to that effect are just that. They're part of the problem. Now, not examining why Congress isn't discussing, debating, and resolving what its role should be in this process is very troubling to me. The fact that it is being ignored is not because there's a 2001 or 2002 legal mechanism as an authorization of use of military force. They really don't apply to what's happening right now. There is no clear legal standard that keeps a president in this pole position. Congress declares war, and they want to abdicate their duty because they're weak. And I'm not going to let it go. They should be talking and debating what their role is in this situation. It should not just be the president acting unilaterally. That's my take. Now, we're going to talk tonight about why the window is in place these 2 weeks and what the variables are. But I also want to remind you that we can't keep having just a single focus all the time. You know, it is ironic to me. The more media we get, the less we seem to cover. We all but missed the largest protest in American history. And shame on the Democrats for letting it just go after that weekend. And the deportation tactics that triggered them matter. The president did this big reversal that just went by and nobody really seemed to want to discuss it. He seemed to get the reality that not all illegal entrants are the same. He announced proudly that talking to farmers and people who run hotels and hospitality businesses, that many people who come into this country the wrong way are doing the right thing and are necessary to communities and the economy. But MAGA seemed to pull him back to an extreme position, a reversal and return to rounding up everyone that will cost a lot of money, is a logistical nightmare, it is a legal nightmare, and it's going to mean a lot of lost economic benefit. And there's going to be a lot of other non-economic, intangible loss as well to communities. And I believe this reversal is more proof of the extremism that's tainting our culture and our politics. I should also remind, today's a national holiday, Juneteenth, marking the end of slavery. On this day in 1865, the country made a huge leap in terms of realizing the promise of the founders. The last group of enslaved people on this day found out they had been freed after Union troops arrived in Galveston, Texas. This was 2 years after President Lincoln had signed the Emancipation Proclamation. Now, of course, there would be no real equality in any real way for many decades. There would be Jim Crow, there would be pushback, there would be nonconformity. It would be a huge struggle. And in fact, just to get this day as a national holiday took decades and decades of effort to get it recognized by the government. It took until 2021 for President Biden to sign the Juneteenth National Independence Day Act into law. And there are those who want it repealed, but I think that would be a huge mistake. East Palestine, never talk about it, right? They just weren't big enough, not powerful enough. They just got to sit there and breathe in the suck from a massive catastrophe. The situation in East Palestine is a stain on all of us. It's proof that we don't value the right things often enough. There's illness, there's loss, there's suffering. And finally, now, there may be accountability. The Trump administration announced today that they're launching a 5-year, $10 million research program to study the health effects stemming from the 2023 East Palestine train derailment, something NewsNation has been covering from jump. We went there and did a town hall to try to draw attention to it. People there say this is too long a period, you're going to know the answers very quickly, and it's too little investment. But it's better than nothing, and that's what they got until now. Lastly, the stock market is not the only metric that matters in this economy, and I would argue to you that it matters a lot less than the emphasis we're giving it. Tariffs are a burden to small businesses all over this country. Deals need to happen soon to relieve them. The president announced a deal with the EU while standing next to the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Now, if the Prime Minister, Starmer, seemed a little confused, it makes sense. You forget about the papers falling. It was just ceremonial, but the fact that they were all blank, metaphorically, is relevant. The UK is not in the EU. They're not part of the European Union. Remember Brexit? So why would you announce a deal with the EU standing next to the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom? I'm not playing gotcha. I'm just telling you we need to pay more attention. The walk is not matching the talk on the economy. The pain is real, and we can focus on more things than one at a time. So let's now focus on where we are and what this window means, okay? But I will tell you this. It is not lost on me that having this focus, this hyper-focus on what's going to happen in Iran is not bad timing for the administration. To have the country so focused on this and distracted by all the other things, or from all the other things I just mentioned to you, all right? Even with what we've learned today about this window, I still think the best answer is that America waits. I think the president is making the right move right now, barring information that has not been shared. And that is not to say that I believe that the Israeli prime minister is lying about what he believes about the weapons program, the uranium enrichment in Iran, but we don't know that. And we don't know that anything is imminent. So why would you act before you know? And that's the signal I'm getting from the president allowing a 2-week window. If there is a ground component necessary, okay, and that's what they're debating here, my reporting informs me, that, well, how do we know how effective it's been? And what do you have to do afterwards to confirm it? And there's a legitimate question being asked. If there has to be a ground component, no matter what, then why have America bomb at all? Why not just allow Israel to go in if that's what it wants to do, and then assess what it was able to do? Why, if you're going to have a ground component, then why do we have to bomb? If they can go in and do it on the ground, and they're going to need to go in anyway after we bomb to see if it worked, why bomb at all? Waiting is not weakness in this moment until we have a much better idea of what is known and what is unknown, okay? So overnight, Iran has definitely been doing its best to do its worst. Okay, and there's a lot of reporting that says the structural institutions, the regime's infrastructure is breaking down, that the mullahs could be in big trouble. But overnight, they struck a hospital in Israel. And look, you can say, well, Israel's done that in Gaza. Either it's wrong or it's not, okay? And if you think it's wrong that it happens in Gaza, even though it's different to say that you hit it versus you were aiming for it, we know Iran was aiming for it because they bragged about it. The blast prompted the evacuation of hundreds of patients. Israel's prime minister vowed retribution against Iran for what the government called a deliberate and criminal attack. Here's his take on what happened.
We're targeting military sites. We're targeting nuclear sites. We're targeting missile sites. They're targeting a hospital. They're targeting civilians because they're a criminal regime. They're the arch terrorists of the world. They want to have nuclear terrorism, which will put the entire world under nuclear blackmail, and they would use these weapons. That's what the Ayatollah Khamenei says that he would do. He would use these weapons to wipe Israel off the map. Well, he's not going to. We're not going to let him.
And look, another reason for America to do what we don't do well, which is exercise patience, and this administration is not known for this. It's a big problem with the deportation program. They're trying to do too much, too fast. But this is going to get more intense. And if it is, that is probably not the best time to be involved. And the Israeli defense minister signaled exactly that in no kind of subtle way, threatening to kill the Ayatollah.
We decided on the goals of the war. The goals are to eliminate the nuclear threat and put an end to the missile threat. Amid this, the IDF has been instructed and knows that in order to achieve all of its goals, this man should not continue to exist.
That's their call, it's their right, and it's their responsibility, okay? And watching it play out, I think there's merit to that. I'm open to all arguments, and we're going to hear them tonight, okay? The president said he is hoping Iran comes to the table before the 2-week deadline is up. He should. It's also being reported there's a big divide within Trump's intelligence leaders about how close Iran is to building a nuclear bomb. And I have to tell you, I don't understand how a lack of consensus can in any way motivate quick action. If you don't have consensus, how do you not wait until you have consensus with something that can go as horribly wrong as this could? Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.